Stellar Fundraising Auctions presents Inside the Industry of Consignment Packages, a special episode of our Black Tie and Tails podcast featuring our sponsor, Sojourn Ventures, with your host, Greg Quiroga, and this episode's special guest, Jill Boyer of Sojourn Ventures. Welcome to Black Tie and Tails, Inside the Industry, where we go behind the scenes of the wonderful world of fundraising auctions with an industry insider who is an expert in their field. And today, I'm honored to be joined by Jill Boyer, the Director of Partner Development for Sojourn Ventures. Sojourn Ventures is the leading provider of personally vetted vacation packages for nonprofits since 2005.
Yeah.
And a longtime associate. We've been in each other's orbits for a couple of decades at this point. It's great to see you, and it's great to have you in person. So welcome, Jill.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's great to be here, Greg. And like Sojourn Ventures, I've been in the nonprofit fundraising industry for over 20 years as well. So, and that's where we met.
And it's so funny. I remember when I first started in this, my mentor, Dave, had been doing fundraising auctions for 20 years. And I was like, I can't wait till I have 20 years experience.
Yeah.
You know, and I started when I was, I'd already have, and now I'm like, I got 20 years and being young and naive sounds kind of appealing again.
It really does. It really does.
I'm going back to being that cocky kid who thought I could get on stage and get people to pay more than they should. And
That's right.
It was Dave who first introduced me to Sojourn, and we'll get to that in a bit. But I'm always curious. The question I get asked every time is, how did you become an auctioneer?
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, what led you to the nonprofit world?
Yeah, great question. So I actually have a background in hospitality, travel, and event planning. And so, yeah, it all kind of came together. And I was working for a European travel company in Oregon.
Okay.
It was an amazing job. I got to travel all over the world. And I was kind of a personal shopper for different hotels and travel experiences.
Oh, you mean like you would, like for the hotels or for people, you would find experiences for people?
Well, I would go on the trips and kind of rate them behind the scenes, make sure that, vet the properties and vet the experiences.
Somebody's got to.
I know, it was wonderful. And so I traveled all over the world. And then there was a major event in the world that caused extreme travel disruption.
Yep.
And so I realized, it was time to start looking for a new opportunity. And a friend of mine just happened to be working with a startup called Auction Pay at the time.
Yep.
And so I was introduced to, that's right. I was introduced to Auction Pay, which is now Greater Giving, of course. And I discovered that there's this whole niche industry in fundraising and fundraising support. And I've always been passionate about working with nonprofits. And so it just was a wonderful fit.
Greater Giving was an early partner on this podcast as well. So, and it's a small world.
It is.
After all. When did you join up with the team at Sojourn Ventures?
Yeah, so I'm relatively new. I joined in November 2025. So just, I think, going on about 7 months. But as we said,
Right.
I worked with so many of our partners and our customers for over 15 years. So it was just a really easy transition for me.
Well, and I bet if you're, on the back end of Greater Giving, I'm sure there's lots of Sojourn trips coming through on the payment processing for this auction.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, that my mentor, Dave, introduced me to Sojourn. Yes, we've had this company for 12 years now, going on 13. So this would have been in the late 2000s. Or the late aughts is when I first got introduced to Rob and Stacy.
Yeah.
And I've always loved the origin story. And I'm not even sure if I'm telling it correctly anymore. So can you can you share the origin story?
Yeah, it is a really special story. So Rob and Stacy, the founders of Sojourn Ventures, they shared a love of travel, and they frequently traveled to Cortona, Italy, which is famously the setting for the movie Under the Tuscan Sun.
That's right.
So a lot of people know of Cortona because of that. But so they repeatedly visited Cortona and then purchased a villa, a Casa San Marco there for their family. And then kind of around the same time, they owned a store in Northwest Portland called Urbino, which I amazingly, back in my 20s, I lived in Northwest Portland, and I used to go into that store and kind of dream of buying something there. And it was just, nice. Had this beautiful energy, beautiful art and furniture. And so at the time, their son, Jesse, who now, of course, works with Sojourn Ventures and manages all of the Bali properties. He was in elementary school, and they were having an auction, and one of the chair members asked if they could donate their villa to the auction, and it did very well for the auction. And so they were very entrepreneurial and really, really loved giving back to their community. Excuse me. And so that's kind of where the idea was born.
How have you seen how has Sojourn seen the reaction to consignment change in the past 15, 20 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I remember many years ago, working in marketing with fundraising software, where consignment was kind of considered this thing that you wanted to avoid. It almost seemed like you were cheating a little bit with your procurement. And so I think, there definitely are kind of some unscrupulous companies. I think sometimes you never want to have all of your auction items consigned.
Right.
But with travel, I think it's a really kind of a unique position because, and this also comes from working at a European travel company that wasn't a travel consignment. You have this opportunity to procure these packages and these experiences that you wouldn't be able to just buy, at TripAdvisor or Booking.com. And so that is one thing. And Kelly Russell with Artisan Auctions, who shout out to Kelly, but
friend of the podcast.
That's right. She likes to say "made affordable by" when she's talking about Sojourn Ventures.
I feel so many good lines.
I know, and I love that so much, and it's so true. And also, I think of it as meaningful travel.
Sure.
So.
Hey friends, this lot made affordable by. That's my best Kelly Russell. Sorry, Kelly. You can slap me in person in August. We're doing the Benefit Auction Summit at Napa this year.
Yeah. And
it's so close. I'm like, well, I have to go.
Yeah.
Right up the way.
Oh, definitely.
And I remember seeing Rob and Stacy at a Benefit Auction Summit back in 2011, 2012, like in Nashville. Like they've been involved. They picked the community and they got involved with the right people and always have done. And I believe that not just in the sales community in terms of auctioneers, but like their development of relationships. I've always felt like one of the key selling points of Sojourn are the relationships, and especially with the property owners.
Absolutely.
And how does Sojourn go about building those relationships?
Yeah. So our relationships are really at the heart of what we do. And so that's where another thing that makes Sojourn so special is that we have very close relationships and friendships with our operators all over the world. Many of them we've been working with for over 15 years. And so we do not put any packages in our catalog that have not been personally vetted, and also where we have on the ground operators that we know very well, that we trust, and not just, someone that is helping with making dinner reservations. We have relationships with local chefs, drivers, wine tasting, all the different things that you might want to do when you go on a trip abroad, and you want to make sure that you have just the most amazing experience. And so,
Well, and that raises a really good point, because at these nonprofit events, people are often overpaying for these trips.
Yes.
And if the end result isn't an experience that over delivers,
right,
the oftentimes the one that they're going to hold accountable is the nonprofit.
Right.
And ultimately the nonprofit's going to be the one, like if somebody goes and has, occasionally donors are generous about like, and I don't need to go into nightmare stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think that is a huge part of, and here while I do this, I think that is a huge part of Sojourn's experience is that when go back to Kelly. Kelly told me a story about when they were in Bali and wanted to do something and they were going to go out and rent the scooters, and the Sojourn team on the ground in Bali was like, no, you stay here. And they went out and got like 6 or 8 scooters and brought them back in Mas to the villa so that Kelly and her group could go ride scooters around for the day. And I mean, that's next level. And it's a minor little thing, but it's one of those stories that sticks with you and carries forward.
Absolutely.
Time after.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bali, you started in Italy, and then expanded to Bali. How did Bali and the Golden Buddha Resort and all that whole property come to be?
Yeah, so that's one of our favorite questions, because it started in Cortona, as I mentioned. And so Bali, this was really our founder, Rob. He was very passionate. He loved Bali and traveled there quite a bit.
Okay.
And so he was actually on the beach in Bali in Ahmed and met a man, Wayan, and they just ended up becoming really good friends. And so as Rob would travel to Ahmed, Wayan and their friendship grew, and they built Villa Paradiso, starting as a family home. And that, was the original intention was that it was to be open for friends and family to come to Bali to explore the culture and the hospitality. And
this was
travel to
at
Indonesia.
this point, Cortona, like they've established Sojourn. Robin Stafey established Sojourn, and Cortona is going.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, let's go build this family house in Bali. And just they hadn't even connected the dots yet on, we're going to turn this into a successful property as well.
That is what I understand. Yes. And so then from there, that's kind of how the Golden Buddha came about. So Rob and Wayan became business partners. They developed 5 more cottages, and that created the Golden Buddha. And I mentioned last night that I'm going to the Golden Buddha with my daughter and my mom in a couple weeks. So I get to experience it firsthand.
For the team. Yeah. Looking forward to hearing back.
That's right.
And I remember, and it's been a long time, but I remember when I first learned of Golden Buddha, the pricing's still great, but I was like, oh yeah, totally. And this is the kind of like where it made complete sense to be plugging this in to nonprofit orgs who are looking for like that one special last little thing.
Yes. Yes. And it's such an exciting destination, and it's kind of a dream trip that a lot of people, say, I've always wanted to go to Bali, but I just, haven't done it. So
sad story. 2015, Stacy was like, oh, you guys have to take a trip. You should go to Bali. And so our little family in 2015, our son would have been 10. So the 3 of us were going to go stay in the Golden Buddha Resort.
Yeah.
We were mapping everything out, and I tore my shoulder and had to have surgery in November of 2015. So instead of getting to go on vacation to Bali, my wife got to take care of an invalid husband for Thanksgiving and Christmas. That was my gift to her.
That is not.
She's forgiven me, but she's still like waiting for. I think honestly, given her choice would be like the flight scares her, but I think her choice would be to go. So I look forward to hearing back from you, like what your experience was. I mean, I know it'll be fantastic, but
I will tell you all about it.
The coming out of the pandemic, ever since the pandemic, Sojourn's expanded a bunch.
Yeah.
Like how many properties are now part of the Sojourn family?
Yeah, so we have over 100 properties in Tuscany alone. And then we have in many other areas, we have approximately 50. And so we've expanded beyond Tuscany and Bali to Spain, Croatia, Puglia, and many other destinations. Croatia. Did I already say that?
It's okay.
It's one of my favorite places to go.
Croatia twice.
Yeah, France, Sicily. So lots of different, because we got feedback, people, they love working with Sojourn so much, but then they might have already done the Tuscany and the Bali, so they were looking for more. So we're always looking to expand.
Yeah, understood completely. This special episode of Black Tie and Tails Inside the Industry is brought to you by our partner, Sojourn Ventures. And as a special thank you to Black Tie and Tails listeners, Sojourn is offering you $500 off any Sojourn travel package reserved between now and July 31st, 2026. Good for any upcoming event in the summer or fall. All you have to do to take advantage of this offer is go to sojournventurestravel.com/contact, submit your information to access the catalog and pricing, and add the note "Inside the Industry" in the "How did you hear about Sojourn Ventures" section. Again, $500 off any Sojourn travel package only for listeners of Black Tie and Tails. Act now. This offer expires July 31st, 2026. So 100 properties is a lot.
Yeah.
And that's, in 100 properties in Tuscany alone is a lot.
Yeah.
How many events a year are you working with?
So definitely several hundred. And then over the years, we have supported over 5,000 nonprofits.
And I'm presuming that this is not all just focused in the Pacific Northwest.
No, we definitely have a majority of our events in the Pacific Northwest and on the West Coast, but we're absolutely nationwide. And
I think the being in the Pacific Northwest makes sense because, again, it's all about relationships and knowing people. And and I don't know about your business, but our business, word of mouth is like, we do this and it's great and we love you and thanks for tuning in and we do all the other things and we're always looking for more auctions, so please send people our way. But it's somebody being like, one event chair telling another event chair, we had this, and
absolutely,
what I love is when people start coming back to me like, we saw this. This other auction had this trip to Bali. Like, we can have that trip to Bali too.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Exactly.
How do you navigate the ever-changing landscape of international travel?
Yeah. Great question. So I would say going back to our relationships, that's really, really key to have so many different operators on the ground in all of our destinations. So they keep us, updated with everything that is changing, whether there's a new tax or there's, a protest going on in a city. I mean, you name it. There's just so many different things that could be happening. So we get a lot of our information from our local operators in the country. And then we're just, in constant contact. And then also traveling to those areas, several times a year to just kind of check in on everything and just keeping in the know with, everything with our strong connections.
Well, that's great. And the team at Sojourn has grown a lot. How many people are in the office now?
Yeah, so we have 7 people in the office.
That's great.
And and another thing that makes us special, we're all in the office together in Portland, Oregon. And it's been, it's a transition. So I went from working from home 5 days a week, but I actually really missed being in an office environment. Okay. And so I love being there in our Portland office. And we're there together and we're answering those phones, and you're going to talk to an actual real person, not a bot, I promise you.
And again, one of the things that I have said and had fed back to me over the years is that nonprofits appreciate the level of connection and service that comes from Sojourn. And
absolutely.
Making sure that, I always use the phrase concierge level service to get people on their trip and through their trip. And again, you're not the least expensive option out there anymore. There's cheap options out there. And it's always like, well, you're going to get what you pay for.
That's right.
Like you take a $600 trip to Mexico, it's going to be a $600 trip to Mexico.
Yeah. And there'll be add-ons on top of that $600. And Totally.
So what's the process like for a nonprofit when they reach out to you, Sojourn, and they're like, hey, so we've heard of you. What's
up? Yeah. We make it really easy.
Okay.
So first of all, I would say check out our website.
Sure. SojournVenturesTravel.com.
Thank you.
Links in the bio of this podcast.
Thank you. So check out our website. We have a beautiful new website. We just updated it in January. So all of our latest experiences are going to be on there. Okay. And then you can request catalog pricing. So we'll go ahead and send that to the nonprofit.
Pricing's not on you can't find the pricing on the website.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do have that password protected. And so then we'll reach out immediately, send the catalog pricing.
Not that they don't want you to know.
Right.
The reasons that they don't want your buyers to know.
Yeah. And just also, it's a nonprofit pricing. It's exclusive to nonprofits. Okay. And so we want to make sure that when someone is reaching out to us, they truly are working with a nonprofit.
Got it.
And so, so take a look at our catalog and then take advantage of our free consultation.
Sure.
With our sales team. And then we'll work with the nonprofit to make sure that we understand their audience and kind of what their budget is. That's a big one, because if you've got a trip and, $8,000 trip to Croatia or Paris or so, but you have an audience that is not planning on spending that, then it's just not going to be a good fit. So I would say that's a really key. And then after that, once you pick out your packages, then we send just a super quick agreement to lock in the pricing.
Sure.
And then we have all the free promotional materials, video, photos, a certificate that you can give to your winner.
Okay.
And then you just let us know at the end who won. So
and how many you sold.
Exactly.
And all of that makes complete sense. And I think that there are times when I've had nonprofits use consignment as a test to see is our crowd ready for this level? Yes. And it was kind of a no risk test to see if, sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes it's easier. Sometimes it's better to find out by having a package tank that isn't connected to somebody in the room, so that a donor isn't pissed off about selling it or it not selling. And other times, and it's never good to not sell something, but sometimes when you're trying to experiment with stuff, sometimes it's nice to have it not be tied to somebody. One of the challenges I have whenever I'm working with an organization is figuring out, they're like, yes, we want to take a Sojourn trip. Yeah. Which one?
Right.
And it used to be really simple because it was like, well, do you want to go to Cortona or you want to go to Bali? Yeah. And now you guys have complicated it by adding so many things. So how do you help a nonprofit figure out this is the trip? Yeah. This is the right trip for you.
Yeah. It's definitely not a one size fits all kind of situation. I would say the key is to be intentional. So our packages, be intentional.
Fans of the podcast will know that we're all about conscious decision making. So sorry for that, but yes. So love being intentional.
Yeah, being intentional. So choosing packages that align with your audience, with your theme and budget, and just working, I would say if you have an opportunity to survey your donors or to, call some of your supporters that you are, really closely aligned with, and just kind of ask them, what are they looking for, so that you can, someone might say, I've always dreamed of going to Paris in the fall. And so that's a wonderful opportunity to do that. And so we really help nonprofits kind of tap into that.
That's wonderful advice, because I used to, anybody who's heard Devo and I talk about
asking your donors. And I
Yes.
used to be opposed to it.
Yeah.
I used to think like, oh, why would we want to give them control of the auction? And then I realized they're the ones buying everything.
What's buying?
Why not have stuff in there that they want?
Yes, exactly.
And the caveat being, as long as they're actually going to bid, right? And so, I mean, I
Yes.
think it's up to the
Yes.
nonprofit to know their donor base well enough to be like, okay, these are the people that we should reach out to. But yeah, by all means. And it goes back to donor development, auction lot creation, all of that is meant to be a conversation that takes place over the course of a year.
Yes.
Right. And I'm skipping ahead, but well, we'll save it, because I think one of the really fascinating things is how many times I'll get to it. People purchase again, like repeat buyers,
Yes.
repeat trips.
Absolutely.
And well, we can. And I think you just checked this, but is there anything else you want to touch on in terms of how charities can be strategic in their use of consignment packages?
Yeah. Well, the one important thing to know is you don't have to have just an auction. I mean, you don't have to just put it in the auction. It can be, or or you can put it in different places. Sure. So, of course, our packages perform incredibly well during a live auction, sure. Silent auction also.
Yep.
And, maybe as a buy it now, but also a raffle opportunity is really great. And, our choose your trip option is a really popular one for that. Sure. Because, so
people like to gamble.
People like to gamble.
For $100, I'll take a shot at going to Italy or Bali.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, one of the things that I've recommended using one of the like 2-person packages for is the paddle drop or the paddle sweep.
Yes.
At the end of the auction.
I've definitely heard that. Yeah.
If we know that we're going to get 30 paddles and we think that we could get more than that through a paddle sweep and significantly more, enough to justify the difference in cost, let's put something in there that we can do a bunch of.
Yeah.
Or we can make a bunch on, I mean.
And I think another really important thing to know is that they're unlimited. So, right. Definitely I'll see at an auction, there will be so much excitement in the room. And, as a professional auctioneer, you kind of keep note of this, but then you might have 3 or 4 or 5 or even more, people wanting
Have you heard the story about the time I accidentally sold 13 Sojourn packages at an auction? Have you heard that story?
No.
Oh, okay. So I don't want to be the one who talks the whole time, but during a particular event, and it's really, high-end auction. Everything sells for like $15,000 to $50,000. Things are going great, and we've got a trip to Italy for 4 at the tail end, like the last thing. So let's put it at the very end of the auction as the cleanup.
Yeah.
And they say, great, if it gets to 10,000, you can sell 3.
Okay.
I say, great. The note on this is that Constellation Wine. The Constellation Wine Company had donated a tour and tasting at one of their Tuscany wineries as part of the package.
I see.
Right.
Yeah.
So the bidding gets going, and it's, we're going great, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000. And I'm like, well, I know the 10,000, I go back to the 10,000 at 13 and they're done.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I know I've got 3 people at 10. If I can get the 10 to do 10, I can get the 11 and the 12 to do 10, and 30,000 is better than whatever's going to happen with those 2. So I said I could sell 3 if I get to 10. So I call the ball and I'm like, you're in at 10, you're in at 10, you're in at 10, we'll sell 3. And they're like, oh yeah, sure. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And the rest of the crowd suddenly wakes up and they're like, oh, 10,000, that's cheap.
Yeah, I want to go. I want to go.
We wind up selling another 10 packages, which in and of itself would have been fine, except I didn't check with the Constellation folks.
Oh.
I did not ask if they would be willing to do 13 tours and tastings. 13. And to be honest, Constellation is a big, like $100 million plus brand. So the tours and tastings weren't the issue. It was the not asking. It was the not giving them agency in the decision and going out. But 13 packages at one go.
Yeah, and we see that for sure
for Sojourn.
But I think that's a great story, because that's such an important thing to, I think sometimes the communication, making sure that how many you're supposed to be selling, because sometimes that doesn't get communicated. So,
and you know, I mean, 13 packages at 10,000 each, 130,000. You take out the Sojourn end of that, and they're still making close to $100,000.
That's right.
And we know it was at the end of the auction. It was the fund the need had already taken place. That was money that wasn't going to go to that charity without that package. It worked really well. It was just incredible. The Constellation guys.
Yeah.
So you talked about the process for the charity. Follow-up question, what does it look like for the auction winner, the buyer at the auction who purchases a package for Sojourn? Like, what is the experience like for them?
Yeah. So about a couple of days after the event, we'll typically get the winner details from the nonprofit.
Okay.
And then we will reach out within 1 to 2 business days to the winner, the lucky winner. And we have our in-house booking team. So they'll get a welcome email and then follow up with phone calls to the winner and just kind of provide them with all the information about the trip. And then meet with them, just available to answer any questions that they have about, for instance, if they want to upgrade. We often have, winners that want to bring more people. So they'll, in the moment buy a trip for 2, but then they realize they want to take their whole family or some friends. So we absolutely can accommodate them to upgrade or if they want to add some excursions, but it's never a heavy sell. It's just, it's if they want to, we're there to make sure that they have the just most wonderful experience.
Do you know how much the package sold for at the auction, or is that always blinded off for you?
Sometimes I would say probably the majority of the time the nonprofit will let us know. And so that's great just for us to celebrate how much the nonprofit was able to fundraise.
But has it ever impacted? You're like, oh my gosh, this person paid $100,000 for this. We better take good care of them. I mean, we take take great care of everybody. But does that ever factor into the user experience?
Yeah, I think I would think that has happened a time or two. Sure. But the quality of our trips are so high.
Good answer. Doesn't matter how much they pay, they're all going to be treated great.
Yeah, we're not going to have someone be disappointed. They're not going to go on one of our trips and have like a timeshare experience or... Yeah. So, but certainly if they're paying 3, 4, 5 times, over the nonprofit cost, I would hope that they understand, that it is also a donation to the nonprofit. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
And sometimes you have the other side of that where, I think maybe there's not as a deep understanding that this is also a donation to the nonprofit. So,
Got it.
Yeah, but that's pretty rare.
Expectation management's the name of the game.
Expectation management is important.
Are there any costs, fees, restrictions, anything that the winning bidder encounters after the fact?
Yeah, so we're very transparent about any additional costs. So for instance, a tourism tax, or, if you're going to Bali, there's a visa that's $30, an entrance visa. So we're very upfront about that.
It's funny how a little thing like that can set you off if you don't expect it coming, right?
Yeah.
Going back to expectation management, it good on you.
Yeah. And likewise, we're very open about if there's any blackout dates, which is very rare, or any kind of things like that. We're very communicative about that. It's written in our materials. Okay. And so, yeah, there should be no surprises when it comes to fees and things like that.
And in terms of, you're working with hundreds of events a year. You've got over 100 properties in Tuscany. Yeah. How hard is it for winning bidders to find a date that they want to go do something, right? I mean, because you were saying September is the time to go to Italy. How many people, is it booking out or is it totally available?
Yeah, because we have so many properties, it's pretty rare that we don't have availability. I would say The only time that I've seen that is when people are reaching out really soon. You know, they're wanting
next
to.
week.
Yeah.
Can I get to Can I take over all of the Buddha next week?
Yes, like in July, and it's a month before, and it's kind of the high tourism season.
So what's the sweet spot for advanced booking then? Like 6 months, 9 months? Like, because I know people have 2 years to book the trip through Sojourn.
Yeah, 2 and 3 for Bali.
Got it.
Yeah.
Long flight. So what's the sweet spot for planning and availability? Like 6 months, 9 months?
Yeah, I would say 6 months is fantastic. Three months is probably typical, but yeah, I mean, some people book years out too. Sure. So it depends on your level of organization and
confidence,
and flexibility and confidence and all the things. Yeah. So, but things change all the time.
And I talked a little bit about like Kelly's experience in Bali, but what is the in-country concierge service look like?
Yeah, so we have our local operators at every destination. Sure. So we kind of have our main contact. They're going to reach out to you, make sure that you have, everything you need, reservations, even toilet paper or things like sure. the air conditioning. I mean, just the things that Americans love so much, or just people, and sure. just make sure that every detail is taken care of. And then also we have our different operators. So we might have a chef in a local area, or, someone that can set up scooters in Bali and all of those things. So so we make sure that our travelers have that main contact, and they're able to start planning their trip before they get there, and of course while they're there.
One of the things I've noticed is that you have added a lot of options for winning bidders, or for for the charities before they even put it in, to like assemble unique packages. So it's not just, go stay in Cortona, but it's like, you want to go stay in Cortona and do the in-home cooking class.
Yes.
There go wine tasting. I mean, there are a lot of options for
absolutely
experiences for people above and beyond just like, here's a trip. And there's nothing wrong with it being a trip. Trips are the foundation of fundraising auctions. I've said that for years. But experiences are the cream of fundraising auctions.
That's right.
Now, you mentioned a major event taking place that disrupted travel. And it seems like these days there are potential for that at any given moment in time, anywhere, if you want to operate from a fear-based place. So how do you handle travel disruptions or force majeure events?
Yes, and that is absolutely a reality. Yeah, I would say flexibility is our main focus. So, things happen, whether things happen in the world or they happen in your lives. And so we're very, very flexible with, being able to maybe change your reservations. For example, during COVID, we had many travelers. 2019, they were excited to go. And so we really worked with them and our local operators to make sure that we could honor those packages. And so we actually are really proud of the fact that we had many travelers that won in 2019 at an auction, but they traveled in 2024. Wow. And so, we're really proud of that. Later. Yeah. And of course, that's not a typical situation. And
it's 2020.
You're right. So just being really flexible with travel disruptions.
And I remember coming out of COVID in 2020, Sojourn packages had a 3-year expiration date built on them. COVID, just to ease people's fears and expectations and worry that travel, like it felt like the Wild West. You didn't know, is this going to happen again? What do you know? We're like, it was very tentative, and Sojourn was very supportive and like, no, come on, we're going to do this.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Yeah, get back.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
The bottom line is always the bottom line.
That's right.
I've heard the bottom line is the bottom line. The bottom line is always the bottom line. What net revenue can a nonprofit realistically expect per package?
Yeah. I completely agree. The bottom line is that's at the end of the day. I mean, that's why, we're fundraising. And so, yes, we've definitely across the board seen all of our nonprofits raise and generate tremendous returns when match the right audience. So, anything from 10, 20, 30% and higher.
Nice.
And a great example, we recently worked with a nonprofit in Northern California, and they were nervous about starting to use travel consignment. Right. And so they chose a package with a $3,500 net cost and or reserve cost. And so they decided to take that risk, and they ended up selling the package 5 times.
Okay.
And with over 32,000 in net proceeds that went back to their organization. So they were thrilled.
That's great.
And realized I'm
trying to do the math on in my head. I'm not. I need a
don't ask me to do the math.
A crowd and a strap-on microphone apparently in order to be able to do the math. But those numbers add up.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
and also what I liked in that was the right audience.
Yes,
because I tell people I am not a magic wand. You don't just put me on stage and wave me and suddenly your crowd is generous.
That's right.
And it's the same thing with any consignment package. It is not just like, oh, you put it out there and boom, suddenly your crowd's going to spend all the money.
That's right.
It through the due diligence of working through, of talking with your crowd, of figuring things out, of working it out. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What happens? And this is, I talked about this earlier, but and it's never the goal.
Yeah.
What happens if a package doesn't sell?
Yeah, in the rare time that the package doesn't sell, then the nonprofit just lets us know that the packages didn't sell. And then we would like the opportunity to work with them and kind of take a look at maybe, ask some qualifying questions, why they thought that it didn't work out, and that we can work with them to offer something that might resonate more with their audience the next year. And we occasionally have that, come up. And so it's about asking questions and knowing your audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And making intentional, conscious decisions.
That's right. And having a great auctioneer.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we touched on this, but I want to bring it up again. The pricing for your packages isn't available immediately on your website, but it does exist online, yes?
Yes. Yeah. And it's very easy to get. I mean, you go to our website and then just submit the button requesting pricing, and then we'll go ahead and send you the catalog with our pricing. Yeah.
Or if you're working with a fundraising auctioneer, ask them to send you the catalog, and they'll have it and send it to you as well. I love to ask everybody on Inside the Industry this question, and that is, what's the question that a nonprofit should ask but don't?
Yeah. I would say, what packages fit our budget?
Okay.
And then I would also say, what experiences are your supporters looking for?
Got it.
Those two things are really
conversation.
important.
Yeah. Of like reaching out.
Yeah.
And how far in advance should an event contact you for being involved in their auction?
Yeah, I'd say 6 to 8 months is our sweet spot.
Okay.
However, that is not always the reality.
Okay.
And we are happy to work with a nonprofit that reaches out a month before. We've even had a nonprofit reach out the week before. And, don't recommend that, but our packages are ready to go. So we've got all the marketing materials. It's a very simple process. And
I'm going to own some culpability here then, because I often tell nonprofits that consignment packages from any organization are back pocket. You find out what holes there are in your auction, and you can wait to see what you solicit or not, and then pull it out of your back pocket. But what I'm hearing from you is it's more beneficial, even if that's the possibility, to establish the relationship and have the conversation and go through the process of determining which packages are going to best map to the finances of the crowd.
Absolutely.
And the desires of the crowd.
That's right. right. And also you can start to build the hype in advance. So if you're placing an incredible trip to
nobody's
Spain,
going to decide to go to Spain on 5 minutes notice.
Yeah. And also some of your supporters might be planning their summer travel. And, but if they knew that one of these packages might be at the auction.
That's a great call.
Yeah.
What are 3 things every charity should do when contacting you for a consignment package?
Okay, so I would say reach out to us, ideally 6 to 8 months before.
Heard, learned,
to take advantage of our free consultation and download our marketing materials.
Okay, those are all very straightforward.
Yeah, all no cost to you.
Well, in that same vein, what are the 3 cardinal sins every charity should avoid?
Okay. Not hiring an auctioneer. He did not tell me to say this, by the way. Not researching what their audience wants and not building excitement leading up to and during an event. I've been at events where there's almost nothing said about the trip. No description, no photos, no video.
Wow.
And so, you're not going to get those bid cards up.
Yeah, expectation management's a big deal. And getting a crowd. Yeah. Advanced marketing is one of the most. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How often do you have repeat buyers for one of your trips?
We actually do quite often.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have some of our travelers will actually reach out to us and want to know, is there going to be an auction coming up in my area where there's going to be a Sojourn trip, because I love you guys so much. But we have one donor who has gone on 4 Sojourn trips and is going on a 5th.
Wow.
So pretty common that we have.
That's cool beans. If any of you would-be Sojourn fans are looking for a place in Portland coming up, I'll be at the Humane Society of Southwest Washington event at the
Yay! I love the amazing organization.
Oh my gosh. And it's so hard to compete with pets and animals. And on stage. Last year you'll love this. Last year I was on stage with a Frenchie. A French bulldog who was wearing 4 diamond.
Real diamond?
Yeah. And a diamond. We're at the A Resort. Which is just north on the Washington side, up of just north of Vancouver.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And they're big supporters of the Humane Society. This isn't meant to be a plug for either of those organizations, but the president of A Resort is she is connected to the Humane Society, and it's her Frenchie.
Yeah.
And her Frenchie is better dressed than I am.
I thought you were going to say they were auctioning the diamonds.
No.
That was the Frenchie's outfit. She
just brought the dog out, and he just came and stood and looked at the side of the. I'll show you a picture when we're finished with this one. Fun stuff. It's rapid fire favorites. Favorite band?
Sade.
Favorite book?
Corelli's Mandolin.
Favorite food?
Lebanese.
Favorite TV show or movie?
Cinema Paradiso. And movie. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That counts either way. Favorite place to visit?
Croatia.
That is a well-traveled list. that is a list that is very international, very well traveled.
A bespoke list.
Anything we've missed?
I would just say to not be afraid to add travel to your event, to your fundraiser. It's no risk, and you have the opportunity to add this amazing experience to your supporters, and you don't have to procure it, and you don't have to play travel agent after the event. And so that's that
part alone.
I will tell you, I worked in the travel industry for a while, and it's a lot.
And I've met some of your donors, and they're lovely people, but they're fun to schedule.
Well, and they're busy fundraising. That's their, that's their job.
Totally.
So,
Jill, I thank you so much for joining me for swinging by Casa Stellar and hopping on the podcast. Totally appreciate you. Appreciate Sojourn. Shout out the whole team up in Portland and Stacy in Paris.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'd have made space for 3 on the couch this time. Thank you all as well for tuning in for this episode of Black Tie and Tails Inside the Industry. You can find more information about Jill and Sojourn Ventures on their website. That's sojournventurestravel.com. Always look for the link in the description of this podcast. Sojourn Ventures is also on Instagram. You can find them on the Facebook and, of course, LinkedIn. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Inside the Industry of Black Tie and Tails. You can find us on YouTube and all your favorite podcast distribution channels. Be sure to check out our other Inside the Industry interviews, as well as all our regular podcasts at blacktieandtails.com. Excellent.
Whew.